think that sometimes people can kind of put you in a class of your own, in the sense, not in a good sense, that people sometimes treat you. This happens with fighters a lot of the times. You know, if you're a fighter, people will sometimes treat you like you're some sort of like juggernaut. You're some sort of kind of this monster type of person. Like you're some type of, not necessarily like a warrior, but like a juggernaut. I feel like is the best way to describe it. And I think that when you operate through space like you're a high value individual, when you operate like you're a high profile individual, I think that sometimes people treat you like you're some type of juggernaut. People don't treat you like they treat other people. So I think that sometimes certain situations happen to us, and I think that we have to sometimes prioritize ourselves in certain cases, because you know bad things happen to everyone. But what about somebody hurting me? Because it's always I feel like my whole life it's kind of been prioritizing how other people feel, prioritizing, not prioritizing myself, that you lose yourself. And I'm kind of speaking less, I'm going to start speaking less to the camera, and more just talking about my own experience. So I feel like, you know, I'm human too. People like to kind of treat me like Venegas Academy. People you know, people call me the GOAT, but in like a fun, not in like a really mocking way, but that's that's how people greet me. It's Venegas Academy. It's some type of nickname, and you know, everybody's always talking about what I'm saying, that I've said something. Saying people always have something to say about what I've said. People have something to say about what I'm doing, how I'm acting. You shouldn't do that. You shouldn't be making these videos. You shouldn't play this certain way on the field. You shouldn't wrestle like that. You shouldn't do this. You shouldn't do that. And people treat me like I'm not gonna say, because this video is kind of, I listen to Mike Tyson. He's I feel like he's a individual that I can relate to, and that inspires me in a lot of ways. And he said, you know, what about somebody hurting me? You people, you guys are treating, like the press, you all treat me like I'm some sort of juggernaut, like I need to be in a straitjacket. But what about somebody hurting me? You know, I'm a human too. And I relate. I People don't treat me like I'm a juggernaut, right? But I feel like people people don't treat me like I'm everyone else. People treat me like I'm some sort of specimen that they're observing. So I think that everyone, you know, has something to say about what I've said. But what about what people say to me? What about somebody, and I can relate to him in that. What about somebody hurting me? What about somebody doing something to me in my personal life? What about the bad things that happen to me? I feel like if you're some type of high profile individual, and you're trying to make something of yourself, and you're trying to do something that's not traditional, that attracts a lot of attention, that people won't kind of realize that you're also a human just like everyone else. And even though as we try to achieve perfection in some realms, I feel like sometimes we like to forget that we are human, because we're in pursuit of something that is really extraordinary, really, that we want to achieve something really special. Like I want to impact young men in these videos, and I want lots of views. I want to help as many people as I can. I want to not necessarily even be famous. I just want to help people. I just want to help a lot of people. But as a byproduct of that, obviously, a lot of attention is, if you want to help a lot of people, a lot of attention is going to have to be diverted to you. So people ain't treat me like, you know, like I'm a human sometimes. Or no, how do I word this? I think that if you're in pursuit of something, you try to avoid, like kind of realizing that you're a human too, just like everyone else, because it feels like people don't treat you like you're a human like everyone else. And not even that, in the sense that they're degrading you, or you're dealing with like racism or something like that. But in this, just the sense that, just in the sense that you're trying to do something different, and that attracts to where people are telling me you can't, not to do something, and then people have their eyes on me. So basically what I wanted to say, and how you can kind of relate to this, just getting to the point, is like, if you're in the pursuit of something, you have to understand that, like, you're a person too at the end of the day. No matter what you achieve, no matter how much money you make, no matter how successful you get, no matter how disciplined you are, no matter how much progress you're making, at the end of the day, like, you're still a human too. So if you're going through a situation, or you're kind of vortexing through a period of time in your life where people are kind of viewing you as like something to be observed, and they're not interacting with you like a normal person. People are kind of always critiquing and kind of saying things about you. You just have to understand that, like, you're a human too. So like, what about somebody hurting me? What about somebody, hurting someone who's trying to do something with their life? So I believe that, at the end of the day, we're all, I'm a human. So just learning to make terms with that, and not trying to achieve something great as using that as a shield to become emotionally stoic too far, emotionally too cold, because I don't do edits. I can't afford an editor, and I don't want to spend time developing the skill to like edit out all of the pauses. But I feel like coming to terms with, I can be hurt too, and that even though people say things about you, even though you go through experiences, that at the end of the day, I'm a human too, and I feel things as well. So not just becoming like Venegas, this leader of Venegas Academy, not just becoming Isaac Venegas, but actually like a self discovery kind of thing, but not even discovering myself, but like being in tune with myself, not trying to be someone else, not trying to live authentic when I'm alone, is, I feel like, a big, if I could kind of sum up the chapter that I'm going through in my life right now, I would describe it as just that, being authentic with myself when I'm alone. Because when you're surrounded by people, you can step into shoes in a way. I can let my ego help me in social situations when it's time to hop on the field. I can step into a larger version of myself. But when I'm just with myself, when the camera's not on, and I'm just in this kitchen actually just cooking food just with my own thoughts, that I can be hurt too. I'm a human as well, just like everyone else. I experience things just like everyone else. And even though people don't like you because you're trying to do something that's not what is prescribed to the masses of just average people, you're trying to do something exceptional. People don't like that most of the time. No one has anything positive to say to me, but I'm a human too, and I experience things just like just like everyone else. I experience pain in my heart as well, even though it might not seem like I'm that kind of guy that's like I might seem like I'm just this masculine guy who's like, don't feel emotions, don't pay heed to that, you're a man, move on. But I'm very much becoming in tune with how I feel my emotions, and not hiding, because I feel like a lot of times we try to refer to stoicism, philosophy, things that mask things that mask, not mask ourselves, but mask what we're hiding from. Because it's easy to just be stoic and ignore how you feel. But at the end of the day, I feel like you'll become a better, stronger, and I believe that you can become the best version of yourself when you're in tune with how you feel. And you're in tune with that, and you don't run from that, and you let how you feel. You just feel how you feel. If you don't particularly have a reason to be happy, but also I believe that you can make a decision based on how you feel and how you're gonna move forward. 'Cause it's okay to be sad for a short period of time, but I also believe that to some extent sadness is a choice. Something bad happens to you, it's okay to sulk in that, try and make some understanding of it, but then you just gotta move on in the sense that you're not gonna allow yourself to just kind of not you're not gonna let yourself give up. And what I mean when I say give up, you're not just gonna allow yourself to just sit in despair and just not to sit in sadness the whole day for months and months and months and be in this depressed state. Because I feel like to some extent, even though bad things happen to me, bad things happen to you, no matter how bad, I feel like everyone has the obstacle of remaining in that bad state or deciding to take that and choose an alternative feeling, choose to not focus on the bad and instead focus on the good things. And instead of being anxious about what has happened to you, you can make the decision to be grateful after a certain period of time. So I think doing that is what we have the opportunity to do, because I believe a challenge is the same thing as an opportunity, in my opinion. And I say that almost every video, but I feel like I say it a lot because I'm still trying to implement it into my own brain. Like a challenge and an obstacle is an opportunity. When bad things happen to you, it's an opportunity. It's an opportunity to improve from it. Especially when something very, very bad happens to you, especially like in people's personal lives. Like something bad happens to you in your personal life, that's an opportunity to make your personal self become better. It's like if something very, very bad happens to you, it's like you gotta go through a period of being with yourself. You gotta go through a period of immense physical, not physical, but personal development is what you have to go through in very bad situations. Because when you have nothing, obviously, or maybe not obviously, realize this, that a lot of times when you're going through a very difficult situation in life, not even a difficult situation, but when you have nothing and you've, in a sense, maybe not rock bottom, but in certain aspects of your life, you've definitely hit rock bottom, and you don't have people to turn to, you don't have, at some point you just realize I'm not gonna turn to distractions or, not gonna do bad things to sort of get rid of the pain that you're going through in a personal obstacle that you have. People turn to God in those situations. So when you turn to God and you're with God, I believe that you're able to get through things and just not focusing on the bad thing and instead making an active decision to make happiness a choice. Because I'm going through a difficult period of time in my own life, and just trying not to stay in this state of sorrow. Just trying to avoid that, because I've already come to terms with what's happened to me. But I understand that I can make the decision to sulk in my sorrow, or I can, and not even I'm not even talking about like using that pain to help me record these videos. And obviously that's a good, in some sense that's a good transmutation. But I'm learning more about like how I feel and that's a area of personal development that I'm working on. It's like how I feel. I'm a human too, understanding that not trying to constantly live in this idea, not trying to live as Isaac Venegas, but actually living just as myself and understanding myself. Not even understanding myself, but just being in tune with who I am, and not, because Isaac Venegas obviously is this. It's a very powerful character, but not trying to be constantly powerful all the time, and just realizing that I'm human, and being okay with not being this extremely powerful character 24/7. That I can be happy being myself, and not, and going back to the previous point, not just staying in this state of sorrow, but I'm actually gonna make the decision that I don't want to be in this constant state of, pain and suffering, and constantly using that as fuel. I don't want to be stuck in this heartbroken state of just pain and suffering all the time. So I'm just gonna make the decision to make happiness a choice instead, and I'm not gonna focus on what terrible thing has happened to me. I'm gonna just make the decision that I've come to terms with it as much as I can at this given point and this pendulum of time that I'm in. So I'm gonna make the decision to instead focus on being grateful for what I do have, focusing on happy memories instead of sulking on the sorrow that I'm going through. So just making the decision to not just be in a state of despair, and making an active decision to instead, like, let me actually try to be happy instead of just sulking in my own wallows, and getting stuck inside my own head, because I think that that's a struggle that people go through. It's just getting stuck in their own head, man. Like, also another thing that Mike Tyson said was like, my mind wants to kill everything. It wants to kill me. And I think that, do I relate to that kind of I want to, I'll come back to you guys on that, but at this point, I don't really think that I relate to that quote. But what I do relate to is that we can get stuck inside of our own heads, and like, we can go through mental warfare with ourselves. Like, your mind can be your greatest ally, or it can be your biggest enemy. Like, you can go through immense mental warfare. Honestly, like, as Christians, we go through spiritual warfare. We're fighting against sin. We're trying to grow closer to God. We're fighting against demons that even attack people at certain times. We're fighting against all this sin and this evil as Christians, and that's like spiritual warfare. But I also believe that in your head, you can't get stuck inside of your own head to where your mind isn't serving you and your mind is using you. You have to avoid that, because your mind has the ability to be the greatest tool and your greatest ally, and you can be your biggest friend, or you can be your biggest enemy. And you can, I really believe, and this is what I'm working on, is like, you don't have to be stuck in a negative state. You can really make the decision to you can make the decision to instead gain power from negativity. You can make the decision to gain power from good emotion, and power from righteousness. And instead of gaining power from evil that's happened to you, you can gain power from making the decision to be more righteous individual. Because there's two types of, not just two types of people, but I'm going to give an example of two types of people. There's one guy who he's patrolling through life, and he's actually making fair progress in his life, but it's just because he hates himself, and he's transmutating all of that pain, and he's soaking in it. And the more pain he experiences, the more power he has. Like, the more that this individual hates themselves, the more power that they gain to do whatever it is that they're trying to do. But we have another individual who, when they sleep at night, they love themselves, and they're able to gain power from, I can do this, I believe in myself, and it's coming from a positive state, and it's not coming from a state of negativity, not even just self-hate, but they're not gaining power from just like bad things that have happened to them. They're able to gain power in and of themselves of righteousness. So that's what I'm working on, is being able to develop power from righteousness inside of myself, instead of getting power from negative things that have happened to me. Because I feel like that's going to be a big breakthrough, because I don't have to have something bad happen to me to become more powerful. I'm able to dictate my own life and not just have, terrible canon events basically be able to warp me into a new situation in my life. I'm able to actually just myself and my own positivity and my own mind and my own positive thinking. I'm able to dictate my life, and it doesn't have to be other people that dictate my life based on their decisions, and then based on other people's decisions, taking that and then allowing that to affect me, to where that's the only way I'm able to become successful is through people mistreating me. I don't have to let that be the thing. So this video is 20 minutes long. But yeah, I'm human too, so just coming to because I also feel like being Isaac Venegas, one of the things is that people are kind of fascinated by who I am. In some sense, people kind of they realize that I'm not like everyone else, and I think that not even like kind of like a celebrity in the sense that like I'm kind of hyped up in that sense. But at the end of the day, I don't have to I don't have to put myself last all the time, because I'm human too, and I'm allowed to experience life just as much as everyone else. So I don't have to neglect myself. Obviously, the first will become the last, and the last will become the first. But I don't have to neglect myself for other people to some extent, because I'm human too.